Unresolved trauma and pain live within our energy fields, taking up residency, either lying dormant until triggered or showing up in sneaky ways like a physical illness or mental anxiety or emotional overwhelm. And this unresolved trauma and pain that lives within us, it's called our emotional pain body. And whether this pain shows itself through being triggered or through other sneaky ways, the pain is calling for your attention. And if ignored, it can continue to grow and wreak havoc in your life. Hi, I'm Kaye Ashbridge. Thank you for joining me. In this video, I want to share with you how I used awareness to help me identify my own pain body and how this awareness led me on my journey to healing my own childhood trauma. And my hope is that by sharing my journey with you, it helps you towards your own healing. And I think it's very important to state here that our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings create our emotions, and our emotions shape our behaviors. So I go into this in some detail in this video here, if you didn't catch it. But due to my own childhood traumas, I had control issues and always wanting to control my outer environment. Like I was a clean freak. I had to organize everything. Everything needed to be in a certain place, even at a certain time. And I counted things, steps, things. And much later, I learned that control issues are fairly common in adults who have unresolved childhood trauma. When my pain body began showing itself, it was through being triggered. And I was in my late 20s, and at that time, I didn't know what triggers were. But what I did know was that something was going on inside of me, and I couldn't control it. I knew at my core that I had to get to the bottom of this negative energy. I had to get control over this thing that I felt like was growing inside of me, and it was causing real problems in my life. And the first action that I took to help me identify my pain body was to use awareness. And awareness became my first tool to help me identify my pain body, and I used awareness in a couple of ways. So I began practicing my awareness, and one way I thought of my awareness was my outer awareness, my surroundings. I would think, where am I physically? What is happening around me? Who is around me? What are they doing? So this outer landscape awareness I would use, and I would also use a self-awareness that was like an inner awareness that was cluing me into what was going on within me and how I was feeling emotionally and how I was feeling mentally. And this practice of being aware helped me to understand how my inner landscape was reacting to my outer landscape. With my outer awareness, I was paying attention to the where and the what and the who was happening physically around me. And in tandem, I paid deep attention to what was going on inside of me and what my feelings were and what my emotions were and what memories might be coming up. And I began to focus on how my outer landscape was affecting my inner landscape. And because my pain body showed up as triggers, using my awareness practice, I could recognize when something outside of myself was causing certain feelings and emotions to well up within me. And it gave me a kind of cushion before the blow of a trigger would hit. So how this worked for me was I might be hearing a conversation and I might feel myself freeze, or maybe I felt myself become agitated because Maybe I didn't like what I thought I was going to hear next of the conversation. So I was really paying attention to everything going on around me and inside of me. And or paying attention to my outer landscaping, and maybe a specific person entered the landscape. How did that make me feel? Did they cause negative feelings? Did old memories rise up in me? So with this inner awareness, I learned to watch myself, to watch my thoughts, to watch my feelings, and I learned what my physical body felt like just before a trigger. Yeah, I learned to identify the changes in my physical body before a trigger hit, because with the trigger would come my pain body, where I would lose control. So using this awareness practice, it taught me to see patterns that brought forth my pain body. And the awareness, this was my first tool, and brought me so much understanding about this negative, painful thing that would rise up in me and then out of me. And my awareness practice, it also led me to learning about the mechanism of projection. And projection is a way that we humans can avoid acknowledging something that we don't like about ourselves, or that we simply deny about ourselves. We project those emotions onto someone else. And so here I was. I'd been denying my own trauma for many years. My pain body had taken up residency within my energy fields, and it was steadily growing and causing me a lot of grief. All the while, I had become a master at projection. Yeah. I think my mantras were something like, "It's not me, it's you." "Oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's nothing." Yet it was always something. And how about this one? "I'm really sorry, but..." Yeah, that's not sorry. Anyway, projection, it's a defense mechanism. And for me, it became my fortress. I was hiding from my own trauma, and I was using projection to deny that I had trauma. So, self-awareness, practicing self-awareness, it taught me so much. It was key to me opening my own potential for healing. And my self-awareness practice taught me how to identify my pain body. My self-awareness practice taught me how I became triggered. And my self-awareness practice taught me that I was using projection as a shield from my own trauma. And through my awareness practice, I learned that I needed to acknowledge that I had past trauma. I learned that I needed to accept that I had past trauma, and to accept that this past trauma was causing me current pain. I had to look at my trauma head on. I came to the realization that I couldn't just see that I had trauma. I had to own it. Through my awareness practice, I learned to guide myself through a trigger. I learned how to soften the blow, to redirect that negative energy toward something positive. To actually, in that moment when I knew I was becoming triggered, to change my thought. And I talk about that a lot in the video Lies I Told Myself. So this awareness practice that I began using, it taught me that I could choose a positive thought, and that thought would create a positive feeling and lead to healthy emotions, and actually I could avoid a full-blown trigger. This was a game changer for me because I learned how to control my emotions through my thought process. And my awareness practice also taught me to recognize when I was projecting, and I could gently bring myself back around and take ownership of that thing that I was projecting. I could take ownership of that thing, of the emotions that went with it, the feeling. and lessen my projections. Because of my awareness practice, I was able to make friends with my pain body. This was revolutionary for me. You see, I began to view my pain body as a part of my inner child. I began to see that pain body as a child, as that little girl who was me, who was scared and wounded. That little girl who was looking for an adult to hold me and say it was going to be okay. So I learned to become my own adult for my inner child. And I learned to nurture and soothe my inner child. And together we began to heal ourselves. So once I clued into this, my inner child, I wasn't alone. And because I could use my focus on helping someone, even though that someone was me, it made the pain more tenable because I could see into my own eyes and understand where that pain came from and do my best to heal that pain. So I can tell you, my pain body still exists, but now it's a part of me that represents who I was, where I came from, and the amazing and powerful lessons that I've learned along the way. And my inner child, she's alive and well and doing great. And I actually gain a lot of guidance from my own inner child. Thank you for hearing my story. It's my deep hope that my words can help you. And if they have, please let me know by hitting that like button and share with a friend. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. I thank you, and I will see you in the next video. All my love.